Put forward! Or raise your shovel, make your shield wall! Counterattack! Who give him hell? Cavalry! Orders! Outfit! Horsemen! Forward! Lord, make the shield wall! Archers, move! Soldiers! Jump! Jump! Give them hell! Stand forward! Stand apart! Forward! Art loose, Rebel, move! Troops, move! Troops, stand apart! Soldiers, stand, soldiers! Forward, loose formation! Oh, kill them all! Attack! Loose formation!